Away from a good job can feel like more than just closing a chapter in your life. Sometimes it can feel like the death of an identity. So it's no wonder so many people hesitate, never do it, or wait until the decision to leave is made for them.
What if the grass isn't greener? How will I pay for healthcare? And what if I fail? Those were just some of the questions running through our minds before leaving the comfort and stability of a good job. And when you leave to pursue entrepreneurship, it can feel even scarier.
So we asked a few people who've done it to help us understand how they overcame that fear, or if the fear ever goes away. Meet Anthony and Jhenilka Hartzog. He's a former corporate employee turned full-time entrepreneur, where he now runs a hands-off cleaning business and teaches others how to start their own. She's a mental health therapist and as of early 2023 works on the family business part-time. They built this while they were both employees and have since grown it to over $500,000 in revenue.
Meet Chris. He's a personal finance expert, media personality, and host of the Popcorn Finance podcast, where he explains financial concepts and about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn. Prior to this, he worked as an analyst and payroll manager until making the decision to pursue his passion full-time.
Sure, because Anthony, you left corporate, but Jhenilka, you haven't, right?
I have not. I'm still there.
Yeah, I left a year ago,
Okay.
pretty much this week.
December 18th.
Oh,
December
wow.
18th, next week.
Okay.
Congrats. Yeah, happy anniversary.
Would you ever go back? And like, what if so? Like, what would the circumstances have to be like for you to like consider going back to a traditional corporate job?
What I can't say I wouldn't ever go back.
Right.
If things came to it and I had to pick up and do what I had to do for the family, yeah, I would definitely go back. Is that my first choice to go back? Absolutely not. So would I go? I would absolutely go back if last resort we had no more savings, we're getting to the end, or she's like, listen, we getting kind of close.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if it came to that, I would definitely go back if I had to. First choice, absolutely not.
Yeah. Jhenilka, what's keeping you there? Do you think about leaving?
Every week. Because it's funny, we get 3 months off from work because we just had the baby this year. And then I went back and then I took 3 months personal leave, which means that I had to use my PTO and then I didn't get paid. And so it was kind of for me testing out what that would look like if I did leave. Originally, like years ago when we spoke about leaving, I would say that the job was connected to my identity because I'm a mental health therapist. So I got my master's, I got licensed, I'm licensed in New York and Texas. And I'm like, I ain't giving this up.
Yeah.
But now I think about it as people, they will always need therapists. So I can keep up my license. I can always go back to work if needed. And definitely as a therapist, you can work, how many hours you want to work. So what keeps me, I think because I've been working from home since we moved down to Dallas for the past 6 years. So it's not taking too much out of me.
Right.
But the part that takes out of me is having to be at a computer 8 hours a day. So then I can't move. I can't do anything until 5 o'clock, or if I'm taking a lunch, those type of things that I have to wake up really early to go to the gym, or I have to go after work. And then that's cutting into the time with Alani because she's going to bed at 7 p.m. So those things kind of, I do go back and forth on, but I say what keeps me is the fact that it doesn't feel like it's taking too much.
Yeah.
But I do understand that if I wasn't at work, we probably can be further as well. So it's kind of like a seesaw in my head.
No, I was the exact same way.
Yeah.
I was the exact same way. And it took Bo, our son, being older and the demands of motherhood just like becoming too much.
No, but that
was my personal experience.
That wasn't just
like,
it. It was that, and it took an org change.
Oh yeah, there was that too.
And a leadership change was sort of like the freedoms and the comfort that she'd enjoyed were basically taken away from her. You know how
I think about that too. Right. And that reminds me of what Anthony used to say. He's like, people leave their managers, they don't leave their job.
Oh yeah, I was really nervous and hesitant to step away. Like, it was never my dream to work for myself. Like, it never was on my radar. Even after I started the podcast and I saw people doing it, I was never like, oh yeah, I want to do that. I was like, no. I actually have a physical reaction to hearing people use the word entrepreneur. I don't know what it is, but it's always like, I mean, come on, everybody's not an entrepreneur. I know you're not. I know what you do. You're not an entrepreneur. You're just doing a side hustle. But it's not something I ever wanted. And I don't know why I never leaned into it. Or even now, I still don't even really refer to myself as that. I'm doing something I enjoy doing, and I'm just fortunate enough to get paid to do it. But I really love the people I work with, and I know how rare that is. And I think that's what caused a lot of my hesitation. Prior to my last job, I was working as an analyst for local government in Southern California. And prior to that, I'd been running payroll departments for like 7 years. And payroll is a life-sucking job. Like I know a lot of people, other people who run payroll departments, there's probably people listening to this who probably do the same thing. And it's just every 2 weeks, you're doing the exact same thing over and over. It never changes. You get the same questions every year. People are angry when you make one small mistake and they don't care that you've been doing great for 6 months. And so if I would have been in the position to leave when I was doing that job, I might have left. I might have been a little more eager to get out of there. Plus I was in like the job right before the one I left. It was a toxic environment. Like I'd only been there about 4 years, and I was like one of the most senior people in the department because so many people left because the environment, people just hated it. They were treating the staff poorly. There's a lot of just like weird ego stuff going in. You know how you get where someone's up in a job, they don't really know what they're doing, but they got a big ego, so they're not going to admit it. So then they start treating other people who try to tell them what they're doing wrong. It was just horrible situation.
Yeah.
So when I landed in my last job, these were people who I had worked with previously, and they had left, gone to other organizations. We just stayed in contact, and they reached out to me. It's like, hey, we have this opening. We think you'd be great for this. Are you interested? And I was like, yes, I am. So I get there, and it's just a whole different environment. Like it's almost like when you're in trauma every day, you don't really notice how bad it is. You're just like, man, work just sucks. And then you get to a new place, and it's completely different. They treat people with fairness and kindness. They respect each other. You're like, oh, this is how it should have been every day. I had no idea people were living like this. So I didn't take it lightly, the idea of leaving that, because I knew how hard it was. I worked for years in places I didn't want to be. So to finally find myself somewhere I felt respected and valued, paid well, it was not something I took lightly. And it took me a long time to come to the decision to finally step away. But I don't regret it, but I do still value that experience, and don't take it lightly, and don't think. That's why I would never be like, oh yeah, just go ahead and quit your job and do your own thing. Because no, if you got a good thing going, there's nothing wrong with staying there and enjoying those benefits.
Earning potential aside, what were like the motivations behind why you decided to kind of walk away and kind of pursue your entrepreneurial interests full time?
So when we were able to pay off our debt, that was like the first inclination. Like you said earning potential aside, but that was the first step that was like, yo, we can make as much money as we want outside of our jobs.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Picking up other jobs. And when we started our business, we got to the point where we said, if we're able to at least meet my salary or meet our salaries halfway, we leave our jobs. And we kind of kept pushing it. Oh, let's do 3/4 and let's do the full way. And then we got the full way. And then it said, all right, let's do the full way for 2 years. And the goalpost just kept getting further and further away.
Yeah.
And I think the pandemic, and then also me losing my best friend in my job, like he passed away from sickle cell. I kind of lost a part of my love for the job, and a big part of my identity at my job was my team. So I was able to build up, we had one manager in Dallas. I built this up to having 3 managers. I built up our entire team of just one person to about 35 people that worked under me directly. I got everybody the salaries they wanted. I got everybody the compensation, the vacation packages, everything that they wanted for my office, and I got my minorities in there. And at that point, it's like, I don't see myself doing anything else here. I said, I don't love the job anymore. I love the people, and I got everybody else what they wanted. Now it's time for me to pursue, what I want.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Cashing Out the Podcast. To see more videos like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to turn on your notifications. To get your copy of Cashing Out the book, visit Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, your local bookstore, or download the audiobook on Audible.